present Kenneth Williams, Peter Jones, Derek Nimmo, and Victoria Wood in just a minute. And as the minute waltz fades away, here to tell you about it is our chairman, Nicholas Parsons.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Just a Minute. And once again, we have three of our regular players of the game, and we're delighted to welcome that lovely, delightful and amusing actress as our guest this week for the very first time, Victoria Wood. And it does require courage to come on and play against these three fellows. And once again, I'm going to ask them to speak, if they can, on the subject that I will give them, and they will try and do that without hesitation, repetition, or deviating from the subject. And we will begin the show this week. And unfortunately, Derek's lost his voice again, but I've no doubt that he will be heard all right, because he never fails. And he's going to begin the show with the most incredible thing I know. There are 60 seconds, as usual, Derek, and you start now.
The most incredible thing I know was revealed onto me quite recently on a trip from Singapore into Johor, Peru. I had crossed the causeway and turned right and visited this chap's house. Now, the interesting thing about it was, although the temperature was 95 degrees outside, inside, the air conditioning was going at full blast. It was totally freezing. One had never felt such extreme chill outside the northern part of Scotland or some such place. And I asked the fellow why. He said, well, I must keep standards.
Peter Jones has challenged you.
Repetition of fellow.
Yes. That is right, Peter. So you have a correct challenge for which you get a point, and you take over the subject. The subject is the most incredible thing I know. There are 29 seconds left, starting now.
The most incredible thing I know I read in The Guardian only a few weeks ago. Apparently, if a person could speak uninterruptedly for as long as a year, he still wouldn't use as much energy as it takes to boil an egg. Now, that does seem to me the most remarkable piece of information, and it was quoted from the Science Monthly, I think it was. And if one could imagine...
Derek Nimmo challenged.
His imagination ran out.
Yes, I agree. So there's a pause, and Derek, you have the subject back with a point for a correct challenge, and there are 3 seconds left, starting now.
And he had a great big roaring fire going, which was the most incredible thing that I
Well, when Ian Messiter blows his whistle, it tells us that 60 seconds is up, and whoever speaking at that moment gains an extra point. It was, of course, Derek Nimmo, and he has 2 points at the end of that round. And Peter Jones, who's in second place, will begin the next round, and the subject is, Peter, those who are listening on their car radios. Can you talk on that subject, starting now?
Well, those who are listening on their car radios are not necessarily listening to this program. I think it would be conceited to assume that even a majority were. But may I suggest to those who are listening to this particular show that they turn off the main road or motorway into a by-lane and listen uninterrupted by those ghastly motorcycles that are not fitted with suppressors, and spoil a great deal of pleasure for people who are enjoying the music, the humor, the wit, and the beautiful use of the English language which is demonstrated on Just a Minute and not many other shows. Now, I'm aware that I have repeated the word show, so I feel
Peter, you shouldn't have drawn their attention to it.
No, I thought they'd gone to sleep.
No, actually, we were enjoying it, and we were in such complete sympathy. We wanted to continue, I'm sure.
I see, yes.
But Derek did challenge. Derek, yes.
Well,
yes, as he said. Right. Derek, 15 seconds on those who are listening on their car radios, starting now.
Well, those people who are listening on their car radios to Just a Minute at this moment, I suggest that they wind down the windows and tap on passing cars and suggest that they flick over the channel, because then we might get one of these big audiences that Nicholas Parsons likes to boast about occasionally. But if
Victoria Wood is challenged.
Well, I just thought it was a bit of
hesitation.
Blurring.
Definitely, yes,
right.
There's a hesitation,
Well,
Victoria.
Victoria.
Yes, and you have played the game that Clement Freud regularly plays and the others try to, and that is getting in just before the whistle goes. You have literally half a second to talk on those who are listening on their car radios, starting now. Still to hear Victoria Wood speaking on the subject, and yet she is in second place with 2 points at the present moment.
Well, I would like to congratulate Victoria Wood on her debut, because her speech, unlike many of the others, didn't drag at all. I thought it was a splendid start.
Right. Kenneth, we're going to hear from you now. Oh, yes, what a lovely subject for you, going off the deep end. Will you tell us something about that subject in the game starting now?
Most of the people that go off at the deep end do so because of provocation, and that's what I've been subjected to on more than one occasion doing this game, coming all the way from Great Portland Street at considerable inconvenience because my feet are not all...
Victoria Wood has challenged.
Deviation.
Why, dear?
Well, his feet are nothing to do with it, are they?
But he was, his feet have got nothing to do with going off, well, you never know, going off the deep end, but I don't think he deviated from the subject sufficiently. He was demonstrating that it is very difficult for him, and I think she's a guess. I think I should give it to her, don't you? Yes, Victoria, give you the benefit of the doubt. There are 40 seconds for you to go on the subject of going off the deep end, starting now.
Well, I go off the deep end when I go swimming at the Morecambe and Lancaster Recreation Area Centre pool deep end, and what I do is I go in my navy costume, which has a halter neck, and it's sort of gathered under the bust, and it sort of goes up at the back. It's very attractive. So,
Kenneth Williams has challenged.
Who sort of?
Yes, isn't it terrible? Oh, rotten, isn't it? It is difficult, isn't it?
That's what I felt when I was pulled up in the middle of discussing my feet.
And you were very sporting. For once, you never berated me for that. So, Kenneth, you have the subject back again, and there are 24 seconds for going off the deep end, starting now.
I did it in a play once and shot into the wings and said, "How dare you not give me that cue on time, you great fool," and shoved the other actor into what appeared to be a pageant lamp, and it fell on him and cut him considerably. And the producer came to my dressing room and said, "This boy is in great pain as a direct result of your..."
Peter Jones has challenged.
Well, he's talking about the results of going off the deep end, not actually going off the deep end, you see. He's rambling on about his feet and about this other actor and everything. And Great Portland Street. He's giving us so much extraneous information.
Yeah, but on this occasion, he really had got onto the subject of the actor and his injuries and not the actually going off the deep end. So I agree with you, Peter. You have 4 seconds for the subject, starting now.
Hold your nose and jump in when you first ascertain that the temperature of the water...
At the end of that round, we have an interesting situation. Derek Nimmo, Peter Jones, and Victoria Wood are all equal with 3 points, and Kenneth Williams is trailing with 1, but not far behind. Victoria, your turn to begin. The subject is my plums. I can see the relationship in Mester's mind, but you take it in whichever way you like in the game, starting now. Derek Nimmo,
She didn't stop.
I thought there was.
I know,
I
but
thought
she
there would be a
hasn't-
noise to tell me when to start.
Yes, I am the
just
noise.
got here. I mean, I can't be expected to know whether you're supposed to start or not. I thought there'd be a noise.
If you'd been on time, we wouldn't have had this problem.
That
You
is
live
a
where I
rather
live, you
snide
wouldn't have been on
reference. I
time
must
either.
explain to the listeners, that's a snide reference, the fact that Victoria was held up on one of our great British railway trains, which was about 7 hours late. And how late was it, actually?
2.5.
2.5 hours late. And the fact that she got here at all is marvellous, and I think you look wonderful under the stress of the conditions that must have
you.
existed.
Yeah, well, stop all that flannel and let's get on. Flannel in it.
So,
about
Victoria,
Start
we
again.
don't penalise you for that.
No.